Special postcast edition of Locked On Jaguars as the Jaguars fall 23-17 to the New York Giants and fall to 2-5 on the season. If I had to write a book about this year's Jaguars team, it would be titled Almost Doesn't Count. I'll tell you about that and more here on a special postcast edition of Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jags, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for joining me, Tony Wiggins, your host of Locked On Jaguars, on yet another edition of Locked On Jaguars, where it's your team every day. And we, of course, thank you for making us your first listen. It's the live edition, so it's going to be live and in full effect, and I'll read some of your comments in a few, but I got to decompress and take another deep breath, because as exciting as the end of the game was, the Jacksonville Jaguars yet again found another way to lose. However, I've said week after week that they found different ways to lose, and while today was also a different way to lose, it's still the same old, same old. So how can you be the same old, but be different at the same time? Well, because you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that's what you do. You perplex us while you remain consistent. You're consistently perplexing when it comes to winning football on Sunday. A couple of dumb penalties, boneheaded penalties that cost them change of possession. It caused the Jaguars it caused them to have consistency issues. It also led to something that we have talked about ad nauseum on Locked On Jaguars. And what that is they lose time of possession. If they lose time of possession, they're not going to win games. They only had one turnover. The yards were just about the same. The the first downs was even 27-27. So if you watch the game, you'd understand what it comes down to. And what it boils down to for me today, and for the first time, I'm going to get on the bandwagon with a lot of people, and I'm going to say that it was on Doug Pederson. And the reason why it's on Doug Pederson is because all you would have needed was a field goal to tie the game at the end had you taken the field goal earlier when you should have. So this one's on Doug for being aggressive, and I understand why he's being aggressive. And one of the things that I think leads to that aggression is, and you're going to wait for it now, because it's not a coach's job to tell you how he actually feels about his team and make it public, because you can't come out and say you don't really think you're that good, but yet and still you're in the locker room telling guys that they can be better and they should be better, and you want them to go out here and try to win a game on Sunday. But I think his actions indicate this. I don't think he believes that they can win kicking field goals, because I don't believe that he thinks they're good enough on defense, and I don't think he believes that they have the depth on defense, and I don't believe he thinks they're mature enough and old enough to win. And that's why I think what he does is he chases points every single chance he gets. But today, I believe it bit him in the you-know-what. Because at the very least, they could have tied the game at the end. Now, to his credit, he doesn't tell Travis Etienne to fumble the ball off of his own leg, off of a little bit of contact in the first half, and the ball goes through the end zone, because that touchdown would have put the Jaguars up by double digits. And I think they play better with the lead than they do when the game is close. That's not on him, okay? It's also not on him. One holding call on Cam was a bogus holding call, but it wasn't on him that, for the most part, Kayvon Thibodeau had his way in the second half. Even though he didn't get sacks, he got pressure on Trevor Lawrence, and he had to rush some throws. It also wasn't on him that sometimes it seems like whoever plays the left cornerback position is going to get beat deep regardless of what they do, and they absolutely cannot cover. Those things aren't on him. But those things happen to every NFL team. What this team needs, and I'm going to tell you this before we take a little bit of an intermission, but what this team needs, they need their best players, the 4 or 5 guys that they have that they consider the best players, to not only play above the X's and O's and lift them, but they need their coach to do the same thing. And with those things being said, not only do they need them to lift them, they need them to not be the ones who make the mistakes. Trevor Lawrence was 22 out of 44 today, completing 50% of his passes. That's not good enough, especially when you are not very good and you need to make sure that you keep the ball a little bit longer. How do they run almost the exact same amount of plays? I think 7 more plays, have the same amount of first downs, but have the ball 9 minutes more than you. And at the end, you saw the effects of that. The Jaguars were sucking air. They were sucking air because they don't have depth along the defensive line. And Saquon Barkley, who had been held in bay all day, ran all over them. And I'm going to get to your questions. I'm going to get to your comments. I'm going to read all of those things for you here on this special postcast edition of Locked On Jaguars, where I know you guys are tired, and I'm tired of talking about it, but it's the same old thing. The Jaguars find a different way to lose, but remain consistent in the fact that they're going to find a different way to lose. But this episode is brought to you by Prediction Strike, the world's first sports stock market. You can now invest in professional athletes, just like the stocks. It's a lower risk alternative to sports betting, and athlete prices move based on performance and supply and demand. For instance, if you invested in Jalen Hurts a year ago, you'd be up 48.2%. Rashad Penny is up 154%. Kyle Pitts is down 44.12% and struggling to start the year off the correct way. Now, all of you guys that play the stock market and all of y'all that play GM a little bit, this is the thing for you. You need to download the Prediction Strike app. Use the code LOCKED for a free share when you sign up and make a first deposit of $20 or more. That's promo code LOCKED for a special one-time giveaway. Prediction Strike will choose one person who signs up with the code LOCKED and makes a deposit to win 100 free random shares that could be worth up to $3,000 if you get lucky and receive Josh Allen shares. Invest in what you know on Prediction Strike, the stock market for sports. And I want to talk to you about Blue Nile. Blue Nile is making your milestone moment more memorable. Whether you're looking to pop the question, have a milestone to celebrate, or want to let love sparkle, Blue Nile can help you make all of your celebrations even more memorable. Hey, women, moms, everyone, they don't love anything more than something that marks the time that you do or say something very, very nice. As the original online jeweler, Blue Nile offers the largest selection of independently graded diamonds and pieces priced significantly below traditional retailers. They've helped millions of couples create the perfect engagement ring. They're easy online tools that let you choose the diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as the style. Make your moment sparkle with Blue Nile. Go to BlueNile.com and use the promo code Locked On to save $50 on your purchase of $500 or more. That's BlueNile.com. Code Locked On to save $50 on your purchase of $500 or more. BlueNile.com. Code Locked On. And you guys are locked in here on a postcast. 35 people in the room right now. I see you. Let me get to some of these comments real quick. Marcel Brown says, yep, it was Doug, Alex York. Doug and defense came up short. Marcel said, yeah, that's dumb. He didn't take the points. Yep, you got to take those points. What has happened to J-Rob? I got a little bit of a theory. I think he's a little bit banged up, and I think he's nicked. And I think that's why I think Travis Etienne is also getting better. Also believe might be something going on at the trade market. Nobody's told me that, but that's just something that I believe. Why didn't Doug challenge that first down towards the end? That's a very, very good question. Christian Kirk did look like Daniel says he did look like he got the first and we didn't challenge it. You're right. Someone has to also tell him to challenge that. And I do believe that if they're trying to rush and trying to hurry, you don't want to get in a situation where you use your timeout for nothing. Miguel Cortez, we got out coached on this one. Doug P lost it for us, leaving points on the board and robbing our defense of 20 to 30 yards. I agree with you to a certain extent, but I do think we also made some very egregious errors on our own that Brian Daboll or Doug didn't have anything to do with. Daboll's a good coach, though. Now you guys see why he was one of my leading candidates to be the coach here. Why punt when you're down with 4 minutes left in the game against an offense you can't stop? That's not a reason not to punt, Ben. The reason why you punt is because you're supposed to, and if you can't stop them, then that tells you that in the offseason you need to find people who can stop them. Cuddy Green, Trevor looked better, and that's all I care about. He completed 50% of his passes. He looked better in the sense that he did not turn the ball over, but there's still some things that he needs to be able to get done, and he needs to be able to do that he's not doing right now. Ishi Family 904 says we're a better team, but J-Rob is the better back. Travis Etienne at 114 yards and average 8 yards a carry. Maybe you can use the fact that maybe they should use both of them. I don't know how you get much better than Travis Etienne. And to be honest, I don't think James Robinson at this point is a better back than Travis Etienne. Saul Pakistan says, do you think we are trading J-Rob, and do you still think? I just addressed that. My opinion is if they haven't decided to do it, that he's probably going to want to get out of here, or that it is an option for him. The thing that's glaring about the J-Rob issue is this. It's not that they're playing Travis Etienne more. They're also playing 22 more. Hasty is getting touches, and he's in the game just as much as J-Rob. So either tells me that J-Rob's nicked up, or sometimes when you have an Achilles injury, you work so hard to come back. The Achilles is fine, but you overwork the other parts of your leg, and maybe he's got a little tightness or something that they're just not inclined to tell us right now. Cuddy Green says, I think we're trading J-Rob, and I think about putting Josh Allen on the trade block. That might not be a bad idea because he has a lot of he still does have a lot of cachet, and he has a lot of street cred in terms of personnel people around the league. But it's looking like they're going to have a real good chance to add somebody else at edge. Trayvon did get a sack today. It looks like they're going to have a chance to add somebody at edge early next year, but they have a lot of holes on this team right now. Saw Pakistan asked me, are we still a playoff team? Do the math, dog. You're 2-5. The only way you're going to make the playoffs, you got 10 games left to go. I think you got to win at least 7 of them. Even talk about that. And the only way you're going to do that is probably to win the division. I don't think so. Ishi Family says Josh is average. Randomness. Another week, another game of watching Trevor overthrow his receivers and dumb penalties. Nothing like it. Norman Muhammad, no way can we or should we trade Josh Allen. I love to get you guys' opinions. You make sure you tune in to Locked On Jaguars every day this week because it's your team every day, whether it's on podcast, whether it's on a YouTube or wherever you get your podcast on the Odyssey app or any other platform. I do appreciate you guys taking your time out after such an emotional victory to join us here today on Locked On Jaguars. I'll have the answers for you to a lot of these questions on tomorrow's episode. And the main thing I'll say is, are the best players on this team good enough? Because if they aren't, it doesn't matter what additional pieces that you add or supplementary pieces that you add. If the players that are on the team now that you consider your best players aren't good enough, then even they need to be upgraded, and we might be a little bit further away than we think. I'll talk about those best players and whether they're good enough on Monday's episode. But until then, you guys take care of each other. I know a lot of y'all are driving home right now, so make sure you make it safe, and we'll see you on Locked On Jaguars tomorrow.